But executive compensation agreements, are you telling me that these executives could potentially be lining their pockets with taxpayer money? You didn't put a guardrail in place to make sure that taxpayer money is only going to go to deliverables and not to executives?
And just when you thought the Liberals couldn't be involved in any more scandals, you'd be surprised. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be going to the Committee of Industries and Technology and taking a look at the company called Telesat. Basically a company that you've never heard of, I've never heard of, and probably a majority of Canadians have never heard of. And this company is supposed to be giving broadband internet connection via satellite, low Earth orbiting satellites to rural Canada, northern Canada. Yet as you're going to hear from this committee questioning the Minister of Industry, Minister Champagne, in the past 5 years since 2019, they have literally done nothing but take money. So let's get into it.
Thank you, Minister, for coming. Always a pleasure to have you here. It'll be a lot easier today. I know how enthusiastic you are, but if you can actually try and answer our questions, it would be more helpful for everyone, including the translators. Telesat, which you know is a company that is majority owned by U.S. investors, that your Liberal government has spent over $5 billion on since 2019 to try and connect rural and remote Canadians to the internet with lower Earth satellites. Only one small problem. It doesn't have a satellite network that connects anyone to the internet. And in 2021, 6 months after you became minister, you gave $1.4 billion of taxpayer money to Telesat, a large portion of which was a loan, a very big loan. How much of that loan has been paid back? Just the number, please.
Now, before we hear from the squeaky minister himself, I just wanted to give a heads up. I probably won't be cutting too much into the video as a lot of these clips are around 6 to 8 minutes long. There's a lot of important information from it, so I don't want to interrupt too much. I might jump in and out, but I just want you guys to watch the clips, listen to how ridiculous these answers are, or non-answers, I should say, and I'll probably pop in here and there when I think it's necessary. So without further ado, let's continue.
Mr. Chair, I'm very proud of the work of Telesat and the workers at Telesat, I must say. Telesat is a Canadian company. We're proud of what they're doing, and I can assure you that the investments, because I would say, Mr. Perkins, just to be clear, we're making money out of these loans. We have a return on the investments that we have invested.
Minister, I have limited time. With respect, Minister,
Mr. Chair, if you want me to answer or not, I don't know.
Well, you haven't answered. I asked one simple question, not an explanation of what Telesat does. I asked a question. That question is quite simple. Simple answer. How much of the $1.4 billion investment and loan, which was the loan was almost $800 million part of it, has been paid back since 2021?
Mr. Chair, let's be clear. It's
Just
your
the
privilege,
number or
Mr.
the percentage.
It's your privilege, Mr. Perkins, to ask the question. It's my privilege to answer.
I would like you to.
So my answer to you is say I am proud of what Telesat is doing. I'm proud of the loan that we have granted them to have a large constellation, about 198 satellites, that will offer coverage to Canadians, importantly for our national...
Minister,
if you're going to interrupt me every time I'm trying to answer your question, it's not going to go well today for you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Perkins, Minister, please try to be succinct in your answers to and to the point, Mr. Perkins.
I will come to your latest announcement. I asked about the $1.4 billion. So the answer obviously is zero has been paid back. You also have, at that time in 2021, had $150 million allocated for equity as well as for warrants. How much have you spent in warrants on that 2021 option right now on taxpayer money?
Listen, I'm happy to get back to you with the specific, but what I think Canadians are concerned about is to make sure that we would have, for national security reason, a very broad coverage when it comes to telecom in the Arctic. I can tell you the network, the LEO satellite, the low orbit satellite that are going to be put in orbit by Telesat, is going to be key in NORAD modernization and for NATO allies to protect the Arctic and the North. And I would say, Mr. Perkins, using the federal government balance sheet in order to support Canadian companies is a smart way to do things, because in this case, in the loan we have provided, we're actually making money We're
So-
making money
so
because
let-
we borrow at a lower rate.
So
then
let's
we
talk
lend
about
the
that loan,
money,
Minister.
and therefore Canadians will be
Let's
making
talk
money
about that
while protecting
$2
national
billion
security
$2
and
billion
ensuring that there
loan.
would be coverage
Minister?
in the North and the Arctic.
Talk about the $2.1 billion loan that you just announced on September 13th, a 15-year loan. A 15-year loan that gives interest relief, essentially, no interest payments for the first 5 years. At the rate that you set in the contract of 4.7% plus the overnight repo rate, that's about a 10% interest rate at current rates. That's over $1 billion of interest in the first 5 years that you're forgiving to Telesat. And you said you'll get goods in kind. What goods in kind are you getting for $1 billion?
And so now, outside of all the filibustering that the Minister Champagne is doing, this is where things start to unravel. Because as Mr. Perkins mentioned, there's a 15-year loan on this $2.1 billion. The first 5 years are interest-free. They're not charging them for the first 5 years. Now, at $2.1 billion at the 10% rate that they're talking about, that's $210 million a year. Over those 5 years, that's a little over $1 billion of money that they're not collecting. And so Mr. Perkins is asking, what is the trade-off that you're getting for that? If you're willing to give up $1 billion of interest, what is it that you're actually going to be getting from this company? And you just got to listen to his answer. It makes no sense.
Getting a satellite coverage to protect our national security, sir. And I would say we're making money. That's why I think Canadians pay. There's a lot of people watching at home.
You're not making money if
But sir,
you're
if you allow me
forgiving
to
the
answer-
interest.
Mr. Perkins,
You're
please
making
let
a
the minister
statement. I'm
answer.
telling you facts. That's the difference
I
between you
read
and
the
I.
loan agreement. I don't know if you did. It's the loan agreement has interest
Well,
release
it's
for the
Math
first 5
101,
years.
sir.
There is no
If I
interest
borrow at
being
2
paid.
and I lend
You
at
can't
10,
make money.
I'm making money.
You can't make money if you're not collecting the
Alors,
interest.
Mr. Perkins, please, we can't have, just for the interpreters, it doesn't work if I have the both of you speaking at the same time. So, Mr. Perkins, I'll let you go with your question, and then please let the minister answer.
When you relieve the interest for 5 years and they don't have to pay it, how are you making money?
Sir, I'm borrowing at the lower rate that I'm lending. I'm getting warrant and I'm getting a network coverage for telecom in this country to protect our national security. Anyone who's done Math 101, if you borrow at a lower rate and you lend at a higher rate, you just don't take it from me, sir. No, but hold on. Do you want me to answer?
First 5 years. That's borrowing at an government interest rate, and then it's costing you money. And in terms of warrants, how much are you going to spend on warrants buying? What warrants are, for people watching, is the right to buy equity to bail out the company with their lack of cash flow. How much are you going to spend on those warrants to bail this company out, which after this loan will have $5.1 billion of debt on a market capitalization of $900 million?
So what's your question again?
My question is, how are you saying you're going to make money when you're giving the interest away for nothing?
So for Canadians watching at home, it's very simple. I borrow at 2, I lend at 10. You don't need to
But
take
you're
it
not
from me.
collecting it.
Well, sir, do you want me to answer? If you want to make statements, I'm happy to
You're not
listen to
listening.
you.
Yes, Mr. Perkins, please let the minister answer, and then that'll be all the time you had for your questions. So, Mr. Champagne, Minister, you have about 25 seconds to answer.
Okay, so what I was saying to Canadians.
Mr. Perkins, please.
Okay, so for Canadians watching at home, I borrow at a lower rate and I'm lending at a higher rate. I'm making, Mr. Chair, I don't know how you want.
No.
I'm happy to listen to him. I like his statements.
Yes, Mr. Perkins, you know the rules of this committee. If you don't have the mic, you're not to be speaking over someone else, over a witness that we've invited. You've asked your question. I'm giving the minister time to answer. So please.
I've asked the question 3 times, Mr. Chair, and he's not answered it. He's giving me an answer that's not related to the question. The question is, in the first 5 years of the loan, you are giving interest relief. No interest has to be paid in the first 5 years. How are you making money when you say there's no interest being paid? That's part of the contract. I don't think you've read the contract, since it says there is goods in kind, no interest charged in the first 5 years of a $2 billion loan. That's the equivalent of $1 billion of interest relief to this company.
Okay, now, Mr. Perkins, you've had more than your time. I'd appreciate if you let the minister answer. I don't want any interruption. Mr. Champagne.
So, Mr. Chair, I appreciate. So for folks who watch at home, it's very simple. You borrow at a lower rate, you land at a higher rate. You make the difference in between. And in addition to that, we're getting warrants, which is basically subscription rights to make sure that the Canadians would benefit from the plus value that we've created. And in addition to that, we are building a network of satellite to make sure that people would have telecom coverage in the north. That's going to help for our security, for national security. It's going to help for transmission of data when it comes to the Northern Passage for maritime operation and also for aviation. And we're going to be building, I think Mr. Perkins should celebrate, honestly, because we're going to be the largest factory in the world, Mr. Perkins, the largest factory of the world of its kind is going to be in Canada to produce satellite. We're going to produce 2 satellites a day in Canada. You should be proud of what we're doing for Canadians, because this is Canada leading in the 21st century. Not only will have protecting our national security, we smartly use our balance sheet to support Canadian workers, but in addition to that, we're going to be building 2 satellites a day. You should be celebrating, sir.
There's just so much to unpack with what he just said. First of all, him trying to dumb it down for us, saying that they borrow at a lower rate and then they lend it at a higher rate. I'm pretty sure most of us get that. But the fact is, as Mr. Perkins stated, you've given relief to them for the first 5 years, meaning you're not collecting anything. And that interest that you would have been collecting if you didn't give them relief totaled over $1 billion. So what is the trade-off that you guys are willing to give up $1 billion for? That's what Mr. Perkins is asking. And his response is some gobbledygook about we're making a network for national security and connecting the Arctic, this, and that. Well, as we move into the next set of questions, you're going to realize that there actually is no network. Nobody's been connected. No satellites have been launched. This company that's been around since, I think it was 2019, they stated, has yet to do anything in the past 5 years but collect our money. And as a typical liberal, he goes into robot mode and just keeps repeating the same thing over and over again, not actually answering the question.
Your government has given billions of tax dollars to Telesat, a low-Earth satellite internet company that has no low-Earth satellite internet network and connects no one to the internet. The reason why you said you gave a satellite internet company that has no satellite network and connects no one to the internet billions of tax dollars since 2019 is because they promised to connect Canadians to the internet in 2024. It's 2024. Is it fair to say that 0 Canadians are connected to the internet via Telesat Lightspeed?
I would just, well, Ms. Rampel, it's a delight to be in front of you this morning. Just for the folks watching at home, because there are many, I just want to say we've provided loans. Canadians understand the difference between a grant and a loan. A loan you make money of. We're making money out of the loan we've provided
you've given
to Telesat, which is really what Canadians, they're making money out of that.
Thanks, but you've given billions of dollars, and so it's fair to say that you gave money to a satellite company that doesn't have a satellite network to connect people to the internet, and 0 people are connected to the internet with that billion. It's 0, right? That's the number of people that are connected after billions?
So if you look at the evolution of LEO satellites in the world, you first need to raise the money, so you put them in orbit, then you provide connection. It's the same thing, by the way, to all the Americans firm who did that with federal funding. What we're saying is that we're using our balance sheet by giving a loan. We're not giving it. We're lending money. So we're making money out of that to provide the network so we can connect people.
It's a great point, though, because you said you've loaned them. You loaned them money in 2021, and again, they had no satellite network. And they said that they would connect people to the internet by 2024. About 40,000 people, I think, but no people are connected to the internet. And you just gave them $2 billion more. I mean, call me crazy, but like, why would you give more money to a satellite internet company that doesn't have a satellite network to connect people to the internet when they haven't connected people to the internet?
It's very, very simple. First of all, giving and lending is different. Canadians know because they pay interest on loans. So in this case, the government of Canada didn't give anything. We loan money. We make money. So the government of Canada makes money. So the way you do, first you lend money to a company. It's the same thing in the United States, by the way. I can go to all the companies who had launch of satellites if you want. I'm happy to do that.
No. I got to say, like,
they
you have a great
put the
pitch.
satellite and then you provide communication. That's how it works.
So it's like, you're giving people tax dollars to make money, but yet the company doesn't have satellites and doesn't sell internet to Canadians. So how would they pay it back?
Let me
No, it's okay. No, I want to go back. How many people are connected to the internet today after all these billions?
So
It's zero, right?
Let me start that back. It's very simple. You lend money, so the government makes money. So you lend money to a company. The company puts the satellite in orbit, and then you provide communication.
Is this what they told you?
It's exactly what happened in the United States. The alternative is to outsource that to foreign firms. Canadians don't want to outsource their national security, so that's why we're going to be doing exactly that.
It's a foreign firm. So this company that you gave billions to, it's 36% owned by an American fund. Actually, according to American filings, American investment funds own about 63% of it. And the board chair is American. So is that what you define as a Canadian? So now you're paying an American fund that doesn't have satellites to deliver internet service that hasn't connected anyone to the internet. And you've bought their pitch because you're giving me their pitch. You just gave them more money and they haven't connected anybody to the internet.
Well, listen, I love that discussion. I guess, Mr. Chair, maybe we can have experts come here to explain a loan and a grant. It's kind of a different thing.
Oh, listening to this guy gives me such a headache. It's as if he's a little pebble in my shoe. It's so irritating because she's asking him a very straightforward question. How many people has Telesat connected to the internet via this made-up network of theirs? And he just continues to harp on it's not a grant, it's a loan, and you're going to be making money on it, when clearly we've proven you're not making any money for at least the first 5 years. Yet he continues this pitch as she stated. But then he goes on to say, well, let's break it down. We give them the loan of money, they create the satellites, they provide the service. If you go to Telesat's website, which we'll actually do right now, give me a second. Okay, so I pulled up their website. If you go to their website, which I did earlier today, there is nothing here for you to purchase any sort of bundle or some sort of package, anything that would allow you to have connectivity to their so-called network. It gives you a little blurb about what they're doing. It tells you some latest news, some random articles. Subscribe to us, connect with us. And up here, the company just gives you some basic drop-down windows. Nothing here allows you to purchase anything. So I don't understand how he's saying that they're going to be, you give them the money, they make the satellites, they provide the network. None of that has been done in over 5 years. And that's what the conservatives are trying to get out of you. Why are you giving them money, one, when they stated by 2024 they're going to have at least 40,000 people connected to the network? It's already October. They're going to connect all those people within the next 2 months? And two, he keeps talking about, you don't want these jobs to be Canadian, you want to deal with foreign entities. 64% of this company is owned by Americans, and the CEO is an American. So what is he on about? I don't know how this guy still has a position or still has a job, but again, he's going to continue.
The government of Canada did not give anything. The government of Canada is making money out of a company because you use your balance sheet where you borrow at a lower rate and you lend at a higher rate.
But they're not selling
Canadians
any
are
product,
making money,
right?
and we're going to be making 2 satellites in Canada. The largest factory of satellite in the world is going to be in this country. You should be celebrating Canadian innovation, Canadian manufacturing, Canadian worker. We're going to lead the world.
But you're not concerned about giving money to a company that has launched no satellites after 5 years and has connected no one to the internet, which suggests they can't make any profit to pay back the loan. But I digress. Part of this loan, or you're actually giving money to Elon Musk's company, SpaceX, to launch these non-existent satellites. So why are you okay with giving Elon Musk's company all of these millions of dollars, but not allowing or encouraging Canadians to access existing satellite services with other companies? Because it's all going to American companies. I mean, God bless America, but you're kind of
So I'm trying to follow because you criticized me at the time with Elon, which I happen to know, And now you're criticizing me for favoring a Canadian company.
No,
So
no, I'm just saying what you said in the media.
I'm criticized on both sides
I'm
now,
just saying,
so I
yeah,
just tried to get it.
You're going on both sides here. So I'm just trying to clarify. You're giving billions to a company that doesn't have satellites and has connected no one to the internet because it's a Canadian company, but it's owned by Americans, and it's launching satellites it doesn't have with Elon Musk's company. And this is a good deal for Canadians, right?
I love that discussion, sir. Do you have time to answer, Chair?
Yes, but you're out of time, MP Rempel-Garner, but I'll let the minister respond
So for
about
Canadians
30
watching at
seconds.
home, we're giving nothing. We're providing a loan. We're making money out of the company. The company is going to launch 198 satellites to provide communication to ensure the national security of Canadians. And at the same time, Mr. Chair, we should be happy. We have the largest factory of satellite of its kind in the world. We'll be producing 2 satellites a day in this country. Workers, the industry, everyone is rejoicing that Canada is going to lead in the industry of the aerospace of the 21st century. And whilst we're going to be making money for Canadians.
What an absolute crock of shit coming from this guy. I mean, Michelle couldn't have boiled it down any better than that. You're giving money to a company that doesn't have a service, doesn't have satellites, and then is paying another company, Elon Musk's company, to launch these satellites that don't actually exist. And he even admitted it, saying they will be launching 198 satellites. So it sounds like they don't even have these satellites. And then talks about Canada producing 2 satellites a day in the biggest satellite producer in the whole wide world. So does this company now need us to still build the satellites for them before they launch these satellites? Have they not been doing anything with that money to create these satellites on their own? Like, these are the questions that they're trying to get answers to, and he just continuously talks about money. And he basically wasted all his time because now in the next set of questions, he's no longer there. So they're asking, I think, some other board members or some other people that are affiliated with this. And these people's answers are just as bad. Nobody's ever prepared to be at committee. They say that they'll just table that information later for them, as you're going to see here.
Thank you very much, Chair. Okay, I'll just start off the top here. The minister indicated that we are going to be making loads of money off of this loan that we gave to Telesat. So I'm just curious then, the loan was in 2021, it's now 2024. How much money has the Government of Canada made in that loan payback plan?
So our funding to date for Telesat includes a contribution under SIF, which was $85 million. It includes $600 million pre-purchase agreement, where nothing has been paid so far, and includes a recent loan at the amount of $2.14 billion.
Yeah, so in 2021 though, like, so the 600 million and the 85 million, that was 2019. That's not what I asked about, and that's a contribution agreement. There's a loan for $800 million. He was saying, oh, it's at 2%, and then we're loaning it at 10%. He said that we are going to make money on that. So how much money has the Government of Canada made in the 3 years since that loan in 2021 was given out?
I'm actually happy to come back directly and provide the committee sort of all details of the financial agreement with Telesat.
Can you please table a like a month-by-month repayment plan of that loan with the committee?
We'll provide information on loan and the details and the repayments. Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, so this 2021 loan, when did the negotiations or when did the conversations around this loan, when did that begin? Or sorry, the 2024 loan, sorry, my bad. The one that was just announced here, this one for, this recent one that was just announced here the other day. When did that process become initiated?
Well, we've had ongoing discussions with Telesat for a while. I would say that the discussions around our financial support have been engaged for a number of years, including way back into the SIF agreements. The more fulsome negotiations around the potential loans would have been over the last several months.
So specifically on the $2.1 billion that only started in the last couple months? Specifically,
so we have an ongoing relationship with Telesat through a number of funding agreements. And so we've had insights into their finances for a number of years. We've had insights into sort of the relationship for a number of years. But wholesale sort of negotiations around the loans would have been over the last several months.
So you must have had formal negotiations with Telesat on the $2.1 billion, yes or no?
The department was active in discussions with Telesat to get to the loans, yes.
Okay, and when did that begin? Specific to this one, I know there's a long-standing relationship, that's not what I'm asking about. Specific to the $2.1 billion, when did that begin?
I don't have an exact date. I can tell you it's been several months. I can come back to you if we have an exact date. But again, it's sort of an evolving discussion and relationship with a strategic company for Canada.
Okay, so can you table that information with the committee as well, too?
We can provide information on our discussions and negotiations with Telesat.
Thank you very much. How many homes will be connected to internet because of these loans and these investments? How many homes?
Well, the investment is in a strategic capacity for Telesat. So the objective of the relationship with Telesat, certainly there's an element that is about connecting homes, but the primary sort of government instrument for connecting homes is around the UBF and the $2 billion investments that are being made.
Now, I don't know if you guys just caught that, but what he just admitted was that the money that's being invested into Telesat is not to have this connection between the networks and the people. That's just an element of the whole plan. The main investment is for strategic capacity planning. And if you actually look up what that is, it states, strategic capacity planning is a management process that forecasts the people and skills your business needs to meet future customer demands. It's about working out how much capacity you have to take on new work. Capacity forecasting means that if you need to hire more workers, downsize your team, or retain people in redundant roles, you can do so in a good time. This minimizes resource risks to your business, such as having too few or too many staff, having excess capacity you're not using, or failing to meet customer demands because you have staff shortages. Well, I don't understand why we're still investing in that when you guys don't have any product to provide anybody. You don't have a network. You don't have the satellites. What other capacity planning are you guys doing? That requires you to get $2.1 billion extra to continue what? Just thinking about when the network comes up, what you guys need to do, but not actually focusing on the houses because that's just an element of the whole plan. Very strange answer, and you can just look at the Conservative when he gets this answer back given to him again. He just kind of puts his head down and is like, okay, I guess.
The objective is...
Hold on. Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you just because I do have limited time. There must have been a cost analysis, like a cost benefit done. We're connecting homes, we're investing this much money. What was the cost analysis benefit done on the investment for connecting people to broadband, connecting homes? What's that cost analysis benefit? Do you have that?
We have a number of analysis that was done. Obviously, in this case, the sole objective of this investment is not only to build homes, to connect homes. It is to build a strategic capacity in Canada with a Canadian company. We have other investments, including a $600 million pre-purchase agreement where no money's been paid, that will connect homes at the rate of Telesat, but no money's been dispersed out of that one.
Okay. When it comes to some guardrails that maybe would have been put in place regarding billions of dollars in loans, are there executive compensation restrictions for executives at Telesat while these loans are outstanding, just to make sure that any taxpayer money is specifically going to a deliverable rather than to an executive compensation package?
There are some of the details which I can't necessarily provide because they would be consumer confidential. There are a number of covenants within any agreements, within any of our agreements, including requirements for investments to be in Canada, to remain in Canada, for the company to stay in Canada.
But executive compensation agreements, are you telling me that these executives could potentially be lining their pockets with taxpayer money? You didn't put a guardrail in place to make sure that taxpayer money is only going to go to deliverables and not to executives?
Our investments are based on the investments that have to be made by the company.
To the executives or to the deliverable?
So there are a number of guardrails within the agreement. I can come back to you on what is shareable or not based on including...
Please. Yeah, please do. I would appreciate that.
You would honestly think that these guys who are coming to committee would be a little bit more prepared, have their ducks in a row, would be able to answer these questions. And if you honestly don't know the answer, I can respect you saying, listen, I don't know the answer to that question. I can come back to you guys once I find the answer or this or that. But when they're constantly saying, I don't have that information, I don't have that information, I can table that later, it's just a little lazy in my opinion, or, suspicious that they just all of a sudden don't know this pertinent information. And as we roll into our last clip here with Perkins again, he starts to ask them the question that he asked Minister Champagne, and this guy's answer is just as bad as the minister's.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, officials. My Liberal colleagues seem to be confused about what ownership of a company is, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. 36% of Telesat is owned by MHR Fund Management, a New York-based investment fund. Is that right? And they're voting shares.
I believe that to be correct, yeah.
Okay. New York-based Gamco Asset Management and Gabrielle Funds, both in New York, combined own 21%. Is that correct? It's from the SEC filings.
I would, as I was about to note, I do think their ownership structure would be public, and so if you have those in front of you, I will.
And those are voting shares. Philosophy Capital Management of California owns 4.9%, again, according to SEC filings. So that's a total of 63% of Telesat is owned by American shareholders. Just to educate my Liberal colleagues who seem to think somehow it's owned by Canadians, it's owned by Americans. I will go on to ask you some questions, if I could, about the $2.1 billion loan structure. The minister wasn't answering my question about the interest relief. This $2.1 billion loan has interest relief in the first 5 years. They don't have to pay the interest, which right now I estimate at somewhere between 9 to 10% based on 4.75% interest on top of the overnight repo rate. That's about $225 to $230 million of interest over each of those individual years of interest relief. That's $1 billion of interest relief. What goods in kind are you getting for that interest relief?
So maybe a few points on that. And again, as I've mentioned, I am happy to sort of provide greater detail on the Telesat deal itself, and to have that provided to the committee. Telesat is a Canadian headquartered company with the bulk of its jobs within Canada. The supply chain on this is also...
I wasn't asking about that. If you could stick to the loan portion and the goods in kind question.
Sure. Structure of that deal is intended that there would be an initial portion during the deployment period where there would be repayment followed by a 4.75.
Right. So, but what are the goods in kind? I've read it. I know what it is. I've outlined it for everyone who's watching. What are the goods in kind, and how are you evaluating those goods in kind are worth $225 million a year?
I'm happy to come back with some of the details. I don't know if Benoit is able to.
Okay. Can you come back to the committee with those details and table that, please?
Happy to.
And any analysis that you've done on the goods in kind. The second part of the loan is a unique feature called sculpted amortization. For those who don't know what sculpted amortization is, the loan payments are matched to the cash flow of the company, which means if the company's cash flow is declining, the payments are declining. And you know what? The company's cash flow is declining. It's been declining for 5 years. It's down to less than $100 million of free cash flow a year. So how are you going to get that $2 billion back, plus interest, when it's attached to a declining payment on declining cash flow with a company with declining revenue?
Well, obviously the
Not with declining revenue.
So the assessment.
It's been nosediving.
Obviously, in coming to negotiating and in coming to the deal that was struck, as you've mentioned, there was analysis that was done around their potential market shares, their potential sales, and the potential for the repayment. And so the loan was structured to strike an appropriate balance of risk and reward for the government. It is our assessment and our analysis, and that has been.
Right, but they have no satellites up. They've only just contracted. They contracted once before in 2021 for a company called TAS to put up satellites for this. It never happened. Now they're going to contract again for it. You're betting that once those 198 satellites are up, they'll start to magically have revenue, which has been declining. That's going to take years to put those satellites up. I think it's going to take longer. I don't think you're going to get this money back. And I don't believe you've gotten the money back on the $1.4 billion that was loaned to them in 2021, have you?
As I said, the current loan supersedes the 2021 loan. Our assessment in
They compound.
our assessment and supported, we've had independent assessments done as well, is that we believe that the loan is appropriately structured for the risk being undertaken, and we believe that there's a high likelihood of full repayment.
There is a high likelihood of full repayment. And this guy's analysis plan was based off a risk-reward situation where they're using $2.1 billion of Canadian taxpayer money to just see if this works. It's been 5 years. As Perkins stated, everything's on the decline. But you know what? We'll still hold out. Maybe a few of those satellites will bring us in all that money, right? Anyways, I know this was a long video, but there was a lot to cover for this one. If you guys did enjoy it, let me know in the comment section below. As always, hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.